Hey, this is Wesley with Mere Pursuit. We're going to be doing a quick how-to video on how to play The Market, a pocket game, the solo mode. In The Market, a pocket game, a solo mode, you initially start with 3 buildings: a compost building, a farm, and then a synthetic light composition building. Each one of these buildings has like these numbers around them, zeros at the top of each one to basically show that you have 0 of that specific type of resource. The first one is a compost, the middle one is a fiddlehead, and then that third one is a synthetic light. For continuing on and looking at the setup for this game, we've got like this deck over here. This is our permanent resource deck. There's 12 cards in the deck. We'll look at the composition of one of these cards. So on the top left, it's got 0 hope. At the bottom, you've got your cost and value. And in the middle, you have your main resource energy. All right, we're going to quickly shuffle the deck. The Market, a pocket game, is a press your luck game. Luck being just kind of this perceived kind of concept of randomness. What that means, to each their own. But what we're going to do is we have to decide what to do with this card. We'll pull it off the top of the deck and decide where to put it. Do we put it in the market up there beside the deck? Do we put it in our hand? If we put it in the market, we can buy it and put it into our play area. But if we put it into our hand, it's essentially rendered useless in terms of points or as permanent resources, but we can sell it from our hand to gain temporary resources from that card. And so that's the benefit to putting it into your hand. And so ultimately we have to decide before we flip it where we're going to put this card. So I think we're going to put it up here into the market. Let's see what it is. So it's a fiddlehead there. The cost is pretty high. It's 3 compost, 2 fiddleheads, and 4 light. The hope is 4, so that's a high value card. The benefit to putting it up there obviously is going to be the points will be nice if we can buy it. The cost is expensive. The benefit to putting it in my hand would be that I could sell the card, right, in order to get all those resources, but I'd lose the points. If I were to buy it, I'd put it down here essentially underneath of this building. Of course, right now I can't afford it, so I'm not going to buy it. But it would count as a permanent resource of that type. You'll note those symbols match, the building symbol and the symbol on the card, and so that's the building it goes underneath of. It would count as a permanent one of those fiddleheads there toward all future purposes. I think we'll take this next card, put it in the market also. What do we got? So it looks like it's a compost. The cost is really cheap. It's not worth much hope. Let's take another card and let's see. We'll put this one in our hand, see what's going on with it. The cost is 2 compost. So when it's in our hand though, we can't buy it. We can sell it though for the resources at the bottom. So it's worth 2 compost if we sell it. It could be good to have that 2 compost, especially considering there's a card there in the market that only costs 1. So I think what we do is we go ahead and we sell this card, we put it over here into a discard pile for the permanent resources. We rotate up our compost to show that we now have 2 compost. And then we look at what we've got and we say, you know what, we can buy that card. Let's go ahead and purchase it, right? So we're gonna pull it down here. It's the matching symbol there for what's on the compost building. It's the same symbol for that same compost bag. It costs 1 compost, so we spun the building down 1. Right, it now serves as a permanent compost, so now I essentially have 2 composts still for my next purchase. If I go to a spin, I'd essentially spin down the 1 and go down to 0, and I'd use the other one also, but I'd get to keep that card, keep using it on into the future, right? So let's take a look at another card. I think this time we'll put it in the market. I just would like to have a little bit more variety and choices to work with here. Okay, so let's flip it. And it looks like it's a synthetic light. It only costs 1 fiddlehead. It's not worth much hope. Let's put another one in the market here. Another light. It's 3 light for the cost. It's still not worth a lot of hope. That one, seems decent. It's not a bad card. I could have sold it in order to get the light. I think we'll take this one, put it in our hand. It is worth noting that the market can only have up to 3 cards in it. This one's in our hand, so we have to sell it. It's going to be 1 compost and 1 fiddlehead, which actually works out in our favor, right? So we can now spend the 1 fiddlehead to buy the light there, right? So we spin it down, and now we have a light. Which is pretty good. As for the rules of the game, we've covered most of them. The key here is worth noting, like I said, we can only have up to 3 cards there in our market. you can only have 3 cards in your hand. If you need more, you can discard a card from the market or from your hand and replace it with the next card you want to put out, but that card is no longer usable. As far as like the end game scenario is concerned, basically when you can't do anything else, the game ends. And remember, the aim here is to hit about 15 hope. If you can hit 20, you get a perfect game, but 15 is ultimately the win scenario. So appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoy the game.